Hi all, and welcome to my new video related to Bitcoin education. This video will be special because it is related to the Bitcoiner's mindset, and especially with what is the difference between a normal person investing in Bitcoin and a Bitcoiner. And for the occasion, I have I'm dressing wearing the best t-shirt I have on Bitcoin. As you see, fix the money, fix the world. That is the purpose of Bitcoin, to fix our money, because it's the best form of money we have ever had. Firstly, disclaimer, everything discussed in this video is for informational purpose only, and it is not a financial advice. Everyone is responsible, fully responsible of how he invests, and the investing is you can risk your money and you can lose also your money. How, let's start with how to recognize a Bitcoiner. Firstly, he has spent a lot of time in learning about Bitcoin, at least hundreds of hours, maybe three, 4 or 500 hours. Probably he started investing in Bitcoin since previous cycle that peaked in 2017. Mostly the people who are Bitcoiners, they are not in Bitcoin since 1 year or 1.5 because it's too less time. They need more time to become a Bitcoiner. And it is hard for him to shut the mouth and stop discussing about Bitcoin. I think all my friends are recognizing that whenever someone is asking me about Bitcoin, I can go on for hours and hours, the whole day. But at one point, I have to stop. And then price action in the in short medium term doesn't bother him that much. Many people, every crash, they ask, "Hey, how are you doing?" and so on. And Bitcoiners say, "Just fine. We are just focusing on the long term." And a good portion of his portfolio is obviously is in Bitcoin. Otherwise, he will be not a Bitcoiner. And I really like this slide. They say the Bitcoin allocation in your portfolio reflects your level of understanding. The more you understand about Bitcoin, the more you study about Bitcoin, the more your portfolio will have a higher percentage of Bitcoin allocation. Let's move on. What a Bitcoiner thinks about Bitcoin. And this, as already discussed in other presentations, for Bitcoiners, Bitcoin is a technological and financial leap forward for humanity. Why? Because of three breakthroughs. Firstly, monetary proposition with its absolute scarcity and its properties that make it a perfect asset to be sellable across time, space, and scale. Bitcoin is the best form of money we have ever had, a breakthrough in the monetary history. Second, technological proposition. With the Bitcoin blockchain, we can finally send value digitally without the need of a central authority. And this is also a technological breakthrough. And the third breakthrough is energy proposition. Bitcoin mining is the only technology that can make use of excess of energy, surplus of energy and stranded energy, all renewable, and is a breakthrough in the energy history. Even more, Bitcoin can help in fighting the climate change. I will not deep dive on this because I made already other presentation about how the blockchain it works, and how the how the Bitcoin mining energy is in reality a misconception in saying consume too much energy, and how Bitcoin mining can help to fight climate change. You can go to these two videos, the blockchain and Bitcoin mining and energy consumptions. Second, but mostly these three breakthrough will bring to something, and this something is with Bitcoin, the best form of money, as money, the society will flourish, and thanks to the separation of money and state, we will start our new renaissance. And this is very complex topic. I also made 4 different videos, 2 lectures about the monetary. I'm not here to explain why, but this is what people, Bitcoiners, think after I've spent a lot of time in learning about Bitcoin and the monetary history and the history of money. And they think also it is just a matter of time before Bitcoin becoming the best store of value worldwide and the world reserve currency. In fact, many, and also now I'm referring that are not, we are not saying anymore that I'm investing Bitcoin, but I'm saving in Bitcoin. And if you hear someone say I'm saving in Bitcoin, he already made this step is saving. Is seeing a Bitcoin as is seeing a Bitcoin as a saving technology, obviously with high potential, but is saving in Bitcoin. The influence of price action. As I said before, price action is not bothering Bitcoiners because they deeply studied Bitcoin and there have been several crashes in the past. Surely they are not happy about Bitcoin downtrend or crashes, but they are not bothered. In fact, Bitcoiners, they bought Bitcoin to keep it at least for 4 years, mostly at least 10 years, or to never sell. And let's say, in fact, when people are complaining that Bitcoin crashes, it's like to buy a dog and then complaining that it's barking. A Bitcoin is used to crash several times. Important is you keep long enough when it recover, or you never sell. But why never selling? This concept is quite like also breakthrough. Like you buy something to never sell because it's the best financial asset a person can own in the long term. For me, I think in the long term there is nothing better. Any stocks, ETF, real estate, everything, bonds, funds, everything is inferior to Bitcoin in the long term. Why? Because with its programmed scarcity, the increase of supply will decrease over time, while the demand in the long term will only increase. So they believe that in the long term, in fact, Bitcoin price will go up forever. This also change will go up forever. That it could be also for the average person is like, how can it be that it will go up forever? Why? Key reason is programmed scarcity and fixed supply. At one point, there will be no more Bitcoin. The world in general still doesn't understand Bitcoin. The amount of Bitcoiners can only increase. In fact, once you become a Bitcoiner, once you understand Bitcoin, there are only two ways to not to believe in Bitcoin anymore. First is to die, and the average age of people who believe in Bitcoin is quite young, so don't assume it will happen so early, so soon. And second is to contract Alzheimer. Same here. The average age is quite young. I don't think so many of the Bitcoiner will contract, hopefully never, but in case it will be in 40 or 50 years. And when I say Bitcoin price will go up forever, meaning in the long term, for sure it's going with high volatility that will decrease over time, but in the long term, they believe, or we believe, that it will go up forever. So what the Bitcoiners are waiting? The best was formulated by Michael Saylor. We see that Michael Saylor on Fox News, once you understand what Bitcoin is, you just wait for the rest of the world to understand. And this is exactly what Bitcoiners are doing. They are just waiting that the world understand Bitcoin. They are patiently waiting because they know that Bitcoin is quite complex and people should spend at least 100 hours to appreciate Bitcoin. So they know that it will take some time because regardless of how is your IQ or how smart you are, if you don't spend so many hours in learning about Bitcoin, you will never build an intellectual framework that would allow you to understand Bitcoin. But apparently, most of the people is busy with so many things for sure, family, work, sport, hobbies, and that's okay, but also with many other things that are not so important, but they are busy with them, and they don't study Bitcoin. And without studying, as I said, regardless how smart you are, a person doesn't stand a chance to understand Bitcoin. So they understand that it's very complex. It's a disruptive technology. It's a new technology. It involves finance, economics, complex math, history, human psychology, technology, and history of money. So many subjects that it takes time to understand. So, knowing this, they are patiently waiting the world understanding Bitcoin. What I think will happen in the future, in fact, waiting, and because when the world understand, the price will go up. How can happen this? Mainstream adoption will come from four factors. First, more regulations. Regulations are good for Bitcoin narrative and to allow a bigger inflow of institutional investments. The more clarity there is, better it is. Until last year or 2 years ago, there was still discussion ban Bitcoin or not. Now, banning Bitcoin is not anymore an option. It's just regulators. There are um, some Bitcoiners who are really from the tradition of cyberpunk that they say no, we don't want regulation. Bitcoin should not be regulated. I'm more from the Austrian economics tradition, saying it is the best form of money, but we need regulation if we want institutional investment, if we want billions of dollars in Bitcoin. So I say we need more regulation. Second, Bitcoin spot ETF in the US. And that's for me, I think, is the most important thing. They've been approved ETF futures, but not spot. In the BTF Bitcoin spot ETF, it means that the company is offering need to buy Bitcoin to offer this ETF. So the money that the institutional investor are buying should be backed by Bitcoin, both by the company who is offering this ETF. And this will be a huge change because many institutions are waiting for that in order to invest more in Bitcoin. For sure, they are not opening an account in Coinbase or Binance or Crypto.com or FTX, but they're waiting to buy to diversify their portfolio and to put 2, 3, 4% of their portfolio in Bitcoin through a Bitcoin spot ETF, mostly in the US because it's where most institutional investors are. And when I talk about 2 or 3%, we are not talking about 2,000 euro, 3,000 euro, or 500 euro as for a retail investor. We are talking about billions of dollars. Third, middle south country like Mexico or Turkey making Bitcoin a legal tender. So far, we had two countries, El Salvador and Central Republic of Africa. But that's great that they joined, but they are still small countries, like relative poor countries related to the world wealth. We will need also not only poor, but also not so many millions, there maybe 3, 4, 5 millions of people. If we have country like Turkey with 80 millions, I think more or less, and Mexico with more than 100 million people, where Bitcoin is made illegal tender, this will be also a huge step toward mainstream adoption. Or the fourth will be one or more big companies like Amazon, Apple, Google, or Microsoft putting Bitcoin in their balance sheet. Tesla did, and it was a huge change. But also, if this done by Apple or Google or Microsoft or Amazon, these are the standard companies in the last 20, the biggest company of the world that are stable since 20 years. And if one of them is doing, then many other companies will follow. So each of them can be a huge change. And if more of, not only one, but two or three will happen, the change will be even bigger. When one or more of these events will happen, said when, not if, that one will happen, I am sure that it will be when. As I said, it's not a financial advice, personal opinion. Bitcoin will be finally decorrelated from the stock or the equity market. At the moment, we see in the last 6 months, 9 months, whenever Nasdaq is going up, or most of the time Bitcoin is going up, when Nasdaq is going down, the Bitcoin is also going down. So we need also called catalyst in order to decorrelate Bitcoin from the equity or the stock market. When it will happen, when we will have mainstream adoption, what will happen? The price will start to increase, and finally, supply will decrease because there will be more demand, and Bitcoin will show its superiority, and the superiority of the difficult. That the fact is also they have the difficulty adjustment in the blockchain. With any other asset, an increase of demand will trigger for sure an increase of price and then of supply. If there is an increase of demand, first there is the increase of price and then an increase of supply that will bring the price down. Bitcoin has a programmed increase of scarcity. At the moment is 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, and in 2 years will be 3.125 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, and supply cannot increase at different pace. Therefore, at an increase of demand will correspond only a big increase of price. The price will increase and the supply not increasing supply, the price will stay high. Then it can generate the FOMO, more people will buy, pushing the price even further. In fact, Bitcoiners believe that we need to reach a tipping point where, one side, when enough people have understood Bitcoin and enough retail investors, institutional funds and company have invested in Bitcoin. Once we reach it, that enough people understand Bitcoin and enough have invested in Bitcoin, we will witness the biggest wealth transfer of human history. And any other market, the bond, stocks, ETFs, funds, real estate, they will all bend the knee, as we can say, to Bitcoin, the real king of the financial market. We will see a portion of every single traditional market, it will be bond, stocks, ETFs, funds, and real estate. Portion of each of them will move into Bitcoin. And we believe Bitcoin will reach between 500K and 1 million by the end of the decade, so by 2030. And the last question is, but how people, Bitcoiners are waiting that from this will happen? Easy. They are waiting the world, understand, we are just waiting the world, understanding Bitcoin, as stated by Michael Saylor. And we are doing, while doing five things. We are eating popcorn, let's say drinking beer, keeping buying sats, so keeping buying portion of Bitcoin, holding and chilling. So eating popcorn, drinking beer, that means that we are quite relaxed. We have a job that is covering much more than the expense. We save month by month. We keep saving in Bitcoin, and we are just waiting the world understanding Bitcoin. And just to show eating popcorn and drinking beer, I have here the examples. So here it will be how we will be eating popcorn, drinking beer, and waiting the world understanding Bitcoin. Bye. See you in the next video.